Emily again. I am now officially off the clock, so I can make a video now. Pretty sure my boss would be mad at me if I did this while I was on the clock. But to be fair, this is work related, kind of. I'm sure you saw from the title of this video, like many other people in the world right now, I am working remotely. But as of this past May, I started working remotely permanently. So with that being said, working from home is my new normal. Back in March, when working remotely first hit the scene due to the pandemic, it was definitely a big adjustment for me. I was used to working around a lot of people in the office, so transitioning into working with no one around me was pretty difficult. At that time, I was still living with my parents, so everyone was at home. My mom, my stepdad, my boyfriend, and myself, we were all working from home. There was a lot of distractions and a lot of stress in our already really poor Wi-Fi connection. As of now, I'm moved out. My boyfriend and I, we have our own place, and I'm the only one who's working from home during the day. He is in person in the office, so I have a lot less distractions and sufficient internet connection, which is just wonderful. Since I've been working remotely for a few months now, I definitely feel like I have somewhat of a routine down now. At first, when lockdown first happened, I felt like my routine just disappeared. I'm definitely someone who thrives on a routine, a schedule, so it was really important for me to find a routine that worked for me while I was at home. Like I said, I've been doing this for a few months now, almost a year when you think about it, and I really feel like I've kind of smoothed out the bumps now. I got this. Unfortunately, right now, due to this pandemic, there's no real clear end in sight when it will be over. So all of us kind of need to adjust to the circumstances and make the best out of a bad situation. If you're currently working remotely, or maybe you're doing school remotely and you're having a hard time adjusting, or maybe you're looking for a job that offers at-home capabilities, whoever you are, whatever your situation may be, I wanted to create this video to share some of the tips that help me be successful while I'm working from home. So let's get into it. The first tip that I have for you is organization. Clearly, no matter what career field you're in, whether you're at home or you're in person, organization is always key. But more specifically for the people who are at home, organization now becomes very critical. You are now mixing your personal space with your workspace. For example, I use my personal laptop for work as well. I work in sales in the insurance industry, so I have a ton of documents and files on my desktop that I download, that I have to fill out, that I have to send to people on a daily basis. And it can really quickly clutter up my desktop. But not only do I have my work documents on there, I also have my personal documents on there. Needless to say, I need to make sure that I'm keeping everything separated. I need to make sure that I'm creating an effective filing system for my documents, also all of the different accounts that I'm working on, so that nothing gets mixed up, because that would be bad and I could lose my job. In addition to the virtual files and documents, I also have physical files and documents that are both personal and work related. The same idea, I need to make sure I have some kind of effective organization method, filing system that I can keep those things separated. Luckily, most of my work is done on the computer, so I don't have too much physical paperwork to look after, but just in case, I have 2 designated filing boxes where I file all of my work documents. They're gray and look really ugly, so I know what goes in there. In addition to keeping your files and documents separated, I've also heard a lot of people suggest that you need to keep your workspace and your personal space completely separated when you're working from home. I personally don't like to do this. I prefer to switch up the environment that I work in every day. Some days I work from the couch right here, or other days I will work in the dining room. It really depends on the day that I'm feeling. I like to switch up the environment. Maybe it's because I have ADHD and I can't concentrate and it helps if I move around, but that is a different story. I have read numerous articles that say the contrary, so there's probably some truth to it. So to each their own, I guess. I would call myself an overall organized person, so it's probably easier for me to move around throughout the house and not just be stagnant in one place. But if you struggle with organization, designating a clear spot of where your workspace is probably going to be a lot more beneficial for you and help you produce much better work. Tip number 2 is communication. Depending on your remote working setup, you may not see your coworkers every day or at all for that matter. Where I work, I am 100% remote. In fact, I'm in an entire different state, while the rest of my coworkers are in person at the office all together. Because of this arrangement, I have to be very adamant about communicating with my coworkers so that I don't miss out on anything. And vice versa, they also need to make sure that they're taking initiative to keep me in the loop. If you're currently working remotely or you want to work remotely, it's important that you set up clear guidelines with your employer for how you will still be involved in the workplace even though you're not physically at the workplace. Maybe it's a daily Zoom call or phone call. Maybe you have an active work group chat. Maybe you meet once a week or once a month. Every office works differently, so whatever method works best for you. At my job, we do a little bit of everything. I definitely call my coworkers numerous times a day. They probably hate seeing my caller ID pop up on the phone. We also have a group chat that everyone's really active in, and of course, the occasional email will float into my inbox. Oftentimes, working from home, it can kind of feel like it's a one-man show, which depending on your preferred working environment could either be good or bad, but I personally like to think it's the best of both worlds. So you can quietly work alone in the comfort of your own home, but you're also part of a team. The final tip that I have for you guys today is time management. Like I just mentioned, working from home can kind of feel like a one-man show sometimes because it's just you at home. But that also means no one is supervising you. You can literally do whatever you want, but not really. You're still on the clock. You're still being paid to do a job. So it's important that you're managing your time properly and keeping yourself focused and on track. We only promote good work ethics on this channel. No lying here. With that being said, clearly there will be days where you're not as productive. Believe me, I know. And that's totally fine. You're only human. Everyone has those days, but what's important is to make sure that one of those days doesn't turn into every day. One of the best ways I manage my time and keep myself on track is to create a to-do list. I did this prior to working remotely, but now that I am working from home, I feel that it's even more important for me to create these lists. I don't have anyone telling me what to do, so I need to tell myself what to do. Does that make sense? I'm in charge of me. Of course, my boss or my coworkers will occasionally email me something and say, have this done by then. But most of the time, I need to hold myself accountable for completing my work and completing it well and on time. I would not be able to do that without a to-do list. I used to make weekly to-do lists, but my work has gotten so busy that I need to make daily to-do lists. Busy isn't always bad, busy is good. I've also been using time management to my advantage. I'm now working smarter and not harder. I know not everyone's employer will let them do this, but my employer lets me choose my own hours. So if I want to start working at 7 a.m. versus the typical 9, I'm allowed to do that. Or maybe if I want to log some hours over the weekend, I am able to do that as well. As long as I get my 40 hours in, they really don't care. By having this ability, I'm able to produce so much better work. If I need to take a long break throughout the middle of the day, I can do that. Like I said earlier, if I feel super motivated on the weekends, I can do that. It's definitely not often, but I have done it. I have the flexibility to work when I'm at my best. Definitely talk to your employer about this option. Having the ability to choose your own hours can ultimately make you such a better employee. I 100% stand by the statement that I am producing so much better work when I don't work a full 8 hours. I produce so much better work when I work in chunks, and I think my boss can see that as well. It's definitely worth asking them about. So those are my favorite tips for how to be successful while working from home. There's a ton of great resources out there for you guys to look up additional tips that can help navigate this new normal. And if you'd like to share some tips, I would love to hear them. I'm always looking for ways to improve myself. So if you want to comment them below, that would be awesome. I hope that you guys found this video very helpful. I would be honored if you liked and subscribed to my channel. We're growing. I think we have 6 subscribers as of now when I'm filming this. But thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye guys.